Joining us now with stories trending around the world is OjyOkpe. Hello, Genix.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? How are you?
Good.
Perfect. Good morning. Rufy on fire. How are you this morning?
Very well.
Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. As Nigeria grapples with one of the most devastating periods of insecurity in its history, with soldiers being killed, women and children abducted, and communities razed to the ground across the Northeast, a new and disturbing video has emerged on social media that takes the horror to a whole new level. The footage shows what appears to be dozens of children and young teenagers dressed in Nigerian Army camouflage uniforms, helmets, and boots performing military drills. The young recruits, many in oversized, ill-fitting uniforms, are lined up in formation. The post sharing the video alleges the uniforms belong to slain Nigerian soldiers. This is heartbreaking to see. These are children dressed in uniforms reportedly belonging to Nigerian soldiers, presumably killed in battle. This image alone should shake every Nigerian to their core. Commentators have linked the footage to Boko Haram's long-documented practice of forcibly recruiting children, with some pointing to the Al-Majirinsi street child system in northern Nigeria as a key recruitment tool for terrorist groups. Well, research shows the children in the video are from the Ngoshe axis of Gwoza local government area of Borno State, which recently saw the kidnapping of 100 women and children. Well, Borno State Commissioner for Women Affairs, Zuwaira Gambo, has stated that these may well be children abducted during the state's recent attacks. Young boys torn from their families, stripped from their innocence, and handed the uniforms of fallen Nigerian soldiers. This is not just a security crisis. It is a humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in plain sight, a stark reminder that the fight against insurgency in the Northeast is far from over. We also saw, a troubling video last week showing a group of young boys wielding large guns slung across their backs. The video shared on X shows the children standing alongside suspected terrorists in full military gear, with the boys appearing as young as 9 or 10 years old. The footage has shocked many Nigerians on social media, raising serious questions about how these weapons were obtained and what children so young are doing in the company of armed militants. Meanwhile, controversial cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has indicted the federal government in a recent interview, saying that the government officials and security forces are not only aware of terrorist hideouts, but know the terrorists by name. Let's take a look.
The government knows every terrorist by name and by location. I don't go yellow. I don't go to the terrorists alone. I call the police, I call the security, everybody. I will go to the MES, another place. In fact, when we went to one terrorist, I went to even with women with me. Go to the bush. The minute you didn't see it before the camera was not concentrated on it. I don't go hello.
Gumi has repeatedly called for dialogue with terrorists, and in this interview, he reiterated that peace talks are the only way forward, while also calling out the military for mismanaging what he describes as trillions of Nigeria's defense budget. Sheikh Gumi has never been shy about speaking his mind, but for many Nigerians, the more pressing question is this: if the government truly knows every terrorist by name, why are communities still being razed to the ground. Before I take more security topics, I'd like your analysis starting from, the children that we saw in that video. A shocking video of these children wearing, slain Nigerian soldiers' uniforms, reportedly.
This is very, very sad, and that's a big issue this morning. This is our future, and this is the price of war that we often perhaps don't look at or talk about. Let me start from the end, and I'll go back. There's a handover protocol between the Nigerian military and UNICEF, whereby rescued children like this are not treated like criminals, but they are treated as victims of war, especially those who, whether through kidnapping by insurgents, are now made, compelled, forced, many times against their will, to fight in this manner. And so there's a handover protocol in place for that, to say and repeatedly say that these boys, look at their faces, are victims of war. Now, this is why we keep on calling for urgent attention to be paid to tackling insecurity, and why we keep asking questions as to the whereabouts or the release of, of these people who are kidnapped, especially where we see young children like that. Because if not, beyond the funding of terrorism, is that when we kidnap these people, we're going to recycle and have these young, innocent children being indoctrinated or pushed into a life of criminality against their will. No Nigerian child should be involved in combat. We are signed to the Child's Right of 2003. We have the Child's Rights of 2003. We are signed to the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of a Child. And so every child's right ought to be protected. If we don't get the insurgents, we will continue to see cases like this. This is why there's a continuous push for the soul of our future, because this is our future here. If we're not talking about children being out of school, if we're not talking about children being malnourished, last week you talk about our young people who are, there's a big substance misuse in our nation. We are selling the soul of our future. Yes. This is what we see before us. And that's why there's a continuous FOM call for security agents to go after these criminals, these terrorists, so that not only do we safeguard our now in terms of the places and the people that they kill and kidnap, but that we also do well by the future, by safeguarding our children and ensuring that none of them will ever have to go into combat. Now, going on to Sheikh Gumi's story around, they know the terrorists, it's difficult not to believe what he's saying, Oji, because we've often talked about this, that there must be some form of complicity. Yes. It's overt in some cases, like we saw whereby intelligence, or we've seen in cases where intelligence is received and someone within the ranks leaks it. We've seen cases where there's been a repeated call for investigations around the principal actors who called back soldiers based on the fact that terrorists are going to attack the Kebbi school in minutes. We have asked these questions, yet there is a glaring, obvious silence from the government. And so it's difficult to not know that, that there is some form of complicity, including them knowing. So the gap between them knowing and the arrest is, what is the difference? Why can they not go after these people? What is it? Where do they hold these government people by the jugular, whereby they are unable to act in a way to save the Nigerian people? These are the questions. And maybe Sheikh Gumi himself has a question to answer. He must know where they are saying, because for you to make assertions like this, so they should use him as a principal witness or a principal link to the terrorists and see how they can find a way. And no negotiations. Only it has been recommended in the past. It has failed in many instances where it has been employed, and so no negotiations. These are criminals, these are terrorists, and the Nigerian state must be serious about dealing with them and going after them to protect our now, and very importantly, to protect our future, our children.
Protect our future. Very well said, Ayo. Very well said. Well, in response to the growing insecurity across northern Nigeria and the country at large, Peter Obi wrote a lengthy post on X on Monday, calling out the government. He wrote in part, "Our nation is clearly under siege, and the scale of insecurity is becoming unbearable, spreading widely all over the country, from Nasarawa, Kogi, and Benue. Residents are screaming that terrorists now flock to their farms and forests, disrupting economic activities, forcing entire villages to flee in fear. In Nasarawa's Kadako area alone, 14,318 civilians are now registered as internally displaced persons. In Oyo State, travelers were abducted in the dead of night along the Kishi-Igbeti road. Their whereabouts are still unknown. In Ondo State, criminals criminals shot at, abducted, and wounded innocent citizens. And in Kebbi State, terrorists are on a rampage, killing officers and citizens, making it the third deadliest attack this month. The wave of terror has now brazenly crept into our nation's capital, the attack in Kabwa, Abuja. Just this week, about 19 citizens were abducted from their homes, including women and children. This is yet another grim reminder that insecurity is no longer distant, but now a norm. The primary responsibility of any government is to secure the lives and property of its citizens. Yet, the response from the government in power to all the incidents has been dead silence, as if Nigerian lives no longer matter. The ruling class are instead devastatingly more preoccupied with how to snatch, grab, and run away with the next election. It is time to restore security, dignity, and hope to every corner of this nation. Well, last week, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu boldly stated that Nigeria will defeat terrorism and banditry despite the recent deadly attacks in Borno State, where over 100 women and children were kidnapped. The president made the statement on Friday, speaking during an interfaith breaking of fast with service chiefs and military heads at the State House in Abuja.
I'm so grateful to all of you, particularly the leadership of the armed forces, of working so hard to protect this country from marauders and keep our sovereignty. My sympathy goes to the Vice President and the entire country and many people of Borno for the incidents that occurred, and make a call to Zulum to share the pain with him. Freedom, yes, could be difficult and challenging at this period. We appreciate all the people who are facing the challenges of terrorism and banditry. We will win. Nigeria will prevail. Thank you very much.
Well, Dr. Abati, that's the commander-in-chief being optimistic. However, the attacks in Borno State have shaken the nation. Communities have been destroyed, soldiers have been killed, and over 100 women and children remain missing. A vow to defeat terrorism is welcome, but for the families still waiting for their loved ones to come home, words alone will never be enough. On one hand, we've seen Peter Obi, of course, the opposition fiercely condemning the federal government. And, of course, in one part of his statement there, he did, hail the Nigerian armed forces and also tried to advocate for some sort of highlights on their cause in the field, more attention for their cause in the field. Yes, absolutely. And then here we see the commander-in-chief of the armed forces saying that we will defeat terrorism, but Nigerians are waiting to see that day come.
Well, I think Mr. Peter Obi is right on all counts.
Yes.
Because his basic point, is that we're focusing more on politics, while insecurity is spreading in the country. And the evidence of that is writ large. He cited the example of the attack in Ngoshe in Borno State, but there have been other examples. So when he says the country is under siege from criminal elements, he's right in that regard. And he made the point that, look, politics should not be prioritized over insecurity because, as he pointed out, Section 14 sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution, he made the point that the primary responsibility of government is the security and welfare of the people. You cannot argue with him on that score. Now the president met with security and military chiefs at IFTA the other day. Well, while commending them, he made it clear that they still have a lot more to do. And he used the opportunity to reassure them that he's going to take care of their welfare. More will be provided for them to be able to do their job. And he also used the opportunity to sell his administration by making the point that the economy is stabilizing. But I think that what the average Nigerian will be interested in interacting with military and security chiefs will be how they can do a lot more to make this environment very secure. And then you made a point about child soldiers. This slogan by UNICEF articulated specifically at a major event in 2014 is children, not soldiers.
Yes.
That these are children, and that was in response to what has been observed in places like Afghanistan, Sudan, South Sudan, Somalia, Liberia, Mozambique, where children are used. Specifically, these are children under 18. UNICEF definition is that, children who are under 18 are not supposed to be involved in two activities in the sense in which they are recruited: combat and support services. And that when you do that, you rob them of their childhood, you also expose them to danger, including rape, because some of these child soldiers, they are female. So, but the job of UNICEF is in terms of rehabilitation and reintegration into society. The protocol for the prevention of children's involvement in armed combat of the year 2007 says categorically that if you use children in direct combat or support services, it is a violation of international humanitarian law. And that's why you have groups like the Child Soldiers International, whose campaign, established in 1998, whose campaign is to make sure that this kind of thing does not happen. Specifically as for the children in northern Nigeria. This is the tragedy of Nigeria. These children, clearly under 18, are supposed to be in school.
Supposed to be in school.
They are not supposed to be children that are recruited, by terrorists. They are children that should be mobilized and their parents supported to put them in school so that they will be useful to the future of Nigeria. Once upon a time when we were growing up in this country, they would say for their tomorrow, we gave our today. These children who are now involved in combat, we have mortgaged their future. And the blame is on the leadership elite of this country. The same basic point that Mr. Peter Obi was making with regard to insecurity.
Well said. I hope, those 100 women and children, the story we took, I hope for their safe return back home. Well, let's take this story now from Lagos, where actress Sarah Martins has taken to the streets again to cook for the underprivileged, despite the government issuing a strong warning to the Nollywood actress to stop cooking and giving out food in public. Let's take a look.
I can never fail, I can never lose. That's the only life I know. Full of the spirit when I step into the place. That's the only way I go. Yes, I know who I am. I can never fail, I can never lose. That's the only life I know. Full of the spirit when I step into the place. That's the only way I go. I got the life of God in me. I can never fail, I can never lose. That's the only life I know.
All right, Rufai. Well, the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, in a post on X, stated in part, you were previously cautioned about the same issue last year due to the understanding of its philanthropic intention, and please, I will strongly advise that you desist from carrying out street cooking or similar activities in public spaces in Lagos in order to avoid apprehension and persecution. If you wish to continue your charitable outreach, it should be done through proper channels and in approved locations so that your efforts can support vulnerable people without violating existing laws and constituting environmental nuisance. We expect everyone to be law-abiding in Lagos, just as they would be in any other well-regulated city. And that point about well-regulated city, we did see the story where this Nollywood actress was abroad and she was actually doing the same thing, but I don't think she was doing it. She was, yes, abroad is Canada. Canada is abroad. I mean, I did not know that Canada was domestic. But I mean, this is the first time this is not the first time we're seeing this woman doing this again. And then you said she boldly did it in front of the Oba's Palace and she had responded to Tokunbo Wahab. But Rufai, your take on this story?
At this point, and this is speaking from somebody that does a lot of charity, this doesn't look like charity to me again. Mm-hmm. It looks like show off. It looks like deliberate disrespect of the laws of the land. When she was in Canada, did she go cook in the middle of the road in Canada?
See that.
She couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. So she's doing it deliberately, and this is part of the show off. I mean, this was the same woman that a top politician or top politician's son was giving money to. I'm not saying they shouldn't support her, but this has become show off.
A top politician, so you mean the president's son?
Okay, is it the president's son?
Tinubu now.
Yeah, gave her money.
Tinubu,
oh, so she's the one that Tinubu gave money. So you know what you're doing is violating the laws of the land. You can still give this food, cook the food wherever you're going to cook it, pack it in small packs and bring it to them. They will still receive it. For the life of me, there are people that give more packs of food in a day, and they don't violate the law. I mean, I don't want to toot my horn. I give packs of food.
I've seen you do it.
What I do is that I organize it with what is it called, with people that sell food.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can pay hundreds of thousands and say, okay, just give it to people that come to eat here. You don't need to violate the law. So I think she's just taking it overboard. And whatever she says in response, it was in front of the King's House, and I think she's just doing it overboard. And Tokunbo Wahab, please put your foot on the ground.
I think that he's being lenient, actually, with that tweet.
You know why Tokunbo is also being lenient? Yes. Because when they go after them now, they will be the ones to put some public sentiment. Oh, government is this, government is that. No.
Okay.
We should say it the way it has to be said. As regards the child soldiers, Oji, see, in physics, there's something called Hooke's law. Hooke's law says that once a material is stretched beyond its elastic limits, it never returns to its original size again.
Elasticity.
That's the law of elasticity. And that's pretty much what is happening to these kids. These kids will never remain the same again.
So
Oji, you are just seeing the next form of bandits for Nigeria for the next 60 years. So we're seeing these kids. I can posit that in the next 60, 70 years, bandits and criminality will outlive us in our lifetime. I mean, I don't like to be sentimental about it. And that's exactly what is happening. Because you know why? I went to school with child soldiers. Part of those that Obasanjo did, give
What school was that?
UNAB, with child soldiers, So Obasanjo brought a lot of them back to Nigerian, university, those in Liberia and the likes and all of that. And the trauma never left a lot of them. So these are the kids you are seeing. If the trauma never even left those that have been rehabilitated, then just imagine these that have not been weaned of this insecurity and this crisis. And the other day I was speaking about the fact that we don't even take a compendium of those that have been kidnapped. We're talking about over 100 people in Ngoshe.
Yes.
We've not talked about the Woro people.
Yeah.
We've forgotten about the Woro people. We've talked about the people in Niger. We've not talked about people in Niger in January. So there are many more. So we even need to get a glossary of how many people are in the bushes, are in the den of these criminals, to even start from there in the first place.
Yes, I mean, and we are grateful to the strong opposition voices like Peter Obi, who, would continue to detail this sort of insecurity that we're facing in our country. But I wanted you to quickly touch on Sarah Martins, what you said about, her response to Tokunbo Wahab, and quickly.
Yes, very quick. She just released an apology on her Instagram page to say that, that this is what she usually does. She missed the children.
No,
she wanted to wait. I'm telling you what she said.
Yes.
She wanted to reconnect with them. They said when she went to the area, they told her that, they've missed her cooking with them and all that. So it was a controlled area in front of the King's Palace, and she apologized that she will not do it again. She will go and use the charity kitchen.
All right. She will not do it again. Very good. I like that.
We're going to eyes on her.
Please, Ayo, tell them. Eko ni budget. Eko ni budget, please. Well, all right. Now, let's head over to Akwa Ibom State now, where Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, had quite the eventful visit to Uyo, the state's capital, over the weekend, kicking things off with a spirited game of table tennis against Governor Umo Eno at the newly commissioned Arise Senior Citizen Center, a facility designed to provide healthcare, recreation, and social support for elderly citizens in the state, while the two exchanged energetic shots across the table to the delight of onlookers, with the First Lady appearing focused and agile throughout. Let's take a look. Look at the First Lady. This is the first time I'm seeing her. Well, no winner was declared, but the movement went viral. And the fun didn't stop there. At the 2026 International Women's Day celebrations at the Gwoza LGA International Stadium, Afrobeat sensation Tenny pushed past security orderlies to reach the VIP section, kneeling before the First Lady and getting both Senate President Gwoza LGA and Governor Umo Eno to sing along to a hit song, case. Such a fun moment. For your case, yo. Hey, you know I like to sing. Boy, I heard you singing. Go ahead, please. You must. You were singing.
I just want to say,
but
very entertaining.
Yes, very entertaining.
But I thought that Governor Umo was appropriately very respectful.
Really?
I declare him a very wise man. You know, in a very typical table tennis competition. You will get your opponent to run up and down, to even fall down. But he was very respectful the way he was playing. So I think he applied wisdom.
Yes.
Because we would not have loved a situation where he would subject our mommy to too much work in the name of tennis. But it just shows that there is a lighter side to politics. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Asoteni, you know, she's an entertainer, and a very good one at that. And the security officers trying to stop her. I mean, she's harmless. She's just lighting up the environment.
Yes.
But they too claim they have to do their job. Mm-hmm. Well,
fantastic. It's very entertaining. And, you know, kudos to Pastor Umo Eno, the governor of Akwa Ibom State.
For being respectful.
For being, I was
for
not
being very wise.
I wanted to talk about the elderly citizens, Dr. Mati, seriously. The main point of the story is that there was the main editorial point is the recreation of the, and I actually did visit that home, so it's great that it's finally launched, and the First Lady was there in attendance. These are the sort of centers that we need for our elderly. Our elderly cannot be forgotten. Also very well. Kudos to
that's such a great initiative. And the First Lady said that other states should emulate that. We need to really look for our elderly ones. So kudos.
Well done to
look out for everybody.
Yes, but we need to sample it. We need to show it. We need to show that it can work across all states. So when they do well, we praise them. And also, yes, it should be replicated.
Absolutely. It should be maintained.
What is wife's idea? She started it, Pastor Patience Umoeno, and he continued this. So that's saying a lot about him. So well done. I think that
I still want to find out who won, whether it was the First Lady, the table tennis lady won.
It was even international.
I saw her dressed like that.
No.
Okay. Well, all right. Kudos to the First Lady of Nigeria and Pastor Umo Eno, Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Now, before we take our good news report, let's highlight this clip posted on social media from the Benin-Asaba Highway, where a man who had previously criticized the expressway returned to the road to praise the ongoing rehabilitation, hailing the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the progress being made. Let's take a look.
This one 100 years. The road now 100 years. 100 years guarantee. How many mm be this?
This one now, like those ones.
Yes.
Like 25 mm.
25?
25 mm.
Jesus.
The one, 70 mm.
They are underground?
They are underground, yes.
You are really doing what we expected from you. Omosi Road. This one is enough to carry any type of trailer. Whether Dangote, whether Bua. This is Asaba Express, Asaba Onitsha Express. We have suffered in this road. We don't suffer. I don't do many videos here, so now when we say work is going on, we need to come back and do another video to appreciate the government, the federal government of Nigeria, for coming to our cry. To appreciate Tinubu. Yes, if he do the one way no good, we go fire him. If he did the one way good, we go appreciate him. To appreciate the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, giving us such, look at the thickness of the road, bro. Look at the thickness. Well,
this was a very important video. I mean, once a critic, he criticized that road and now he's hailed it. And this is the sort of, stories that we want to see. The road is expected to be about 125 kilometers and cost about 200 billion naira. But it's worth celebrating that citizens are already seeing how it can positively impact lives. Like we said, when they do good, we praise them. And, we also want to, encourage the content creators that continue to criticize to come out, once they criticize, follow up. If they, respond,
yes,
feature it. And we'll feature it here. That's the balance. Yeah. Fair and balance.
I was trying to avoid that.
Fair and balance. Kudos to that content creator. Now, let's take our good news report, highlighting another incredible feat by 18-year-old Nigerian-American Ugochukwu, who just made history, securing his first ever FIA Formula 3 victory during the feature race in Melbourne. The FIA Formula 3 Championship is an international single-seater race organized by the Fédération Internationale des Automobiles. It's highly competitive, and throughout the 23-lap race, Ugochukwu maintained control, even gaining a sizable 7-second lead at one point. He ultimately crossed the finish line, taking home the top spot for the race, placing him at the top of Drivers' Championships.
Ugochukwu, your winner in this feature race, a first win for the American driver, and that's the perfect start to the season.
I'm a king, I'm a legend in the making, I'm a champion. Remember this, I'm a king, I'm a legend in the making, I'm a champion.
Of course, you will see me smile every time. Congratulations to Ugo. This is a significant milestone as it's coming on the heels of his most recent victory just last month at the 2026 Formula Regional Oceania Championship. Nigeria is proud of you, Ugochukwu, for positively representing us. Our Nigerian, American, Italian Ugochukwu, my godson. I'll say it.
I can't wait.
Yes, we are
when
going.
Ugochukwu,
yes.
Because I know
yes.
when Ugochukwu finally gets on the Formula 1 grid, he will be the first Nigerian Formula 1 driver.
Amen.
So,
all I see
I can't wait for that.
All I see is victory for Ugochukwu. Yeah. Ugochukwu has been working really hard, and it just shows hard work equals success. Congratulations to my champion, Ugochukwu. Now let's take our final story, highlighting the Arise News Africa Women of Impact Awards 2026, held at the Eco Convention Center in Lagos to mark International Women's Day, where 100 influential women from across the continent were honored. Legendary singer Asha delivered a stunning closing performance with a special rendition of Jayla. Let's take a look.
I'm in chains, you're in chains too. Our uniforms and you wear uniforms too. I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too. It's that Jayla. I feel you fears too. I'll die, but you said go die too. Life is beautiful. You think so too? It's the Jayla. I'm talking to Jayla. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him please without saying to the fact.
All right, happy International Women's Day. That was a beautiful, beautiful performance. I wanted to highlight, the news, and also Asha's performance was beautiful. Happy International Women's Day, and happy International Women's Day again. Well, on that note, I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Dr. Bati, I know Asha is one of your favorites. Well, all right. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.
I feel you fears too. I'll die, but you said go die too. Life is beautiful, don't you think so too? It's the Jayla. to the fire.